Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Module 9. I'd like to talk about our reading this week. This week we are going to be focusing on two chapters, Chapter 10, Leading the Project Team, and then Chapter 11, Managing Organizational Change, Resistance, and Conflict. And actually these two go together very well because a lot of what we need to know about leading the team does involve resistance and conflict, and a lot of what we need to know about leading a project is how it impacts the organization. So these two chapters do go really nicely together. So let's talk about leading the project team first. Um, Sometimes I really think that project management would be better labeled project leadership because honestly, project managers rarely, if ever, are actually managers that have authority over the people who report to them on the project team. So, as a result, project managers are really project team leaders. It's about all they can do is to focus on whatever abilities they have to be good leaders. And this is where influence comes into play. This is where we have to lead by example. This is where we use all of the tools and all of the techniques that we've learned in all of our various management leadership classes, and we put them to good practice because we really are very we have our hands tied in a lot of ways when it comes to trying to get people to work for us. We have to do it through different techniques. So project team leadership is really what comes into play here. And chapter 10 is really all about a lot of various ways that project managers can use to lead teams. So I really encourage you to understand that as you move into your work environments, and maybe you are informally managing a project. Informally, you've been given a task of managing a project, and you've got two or three people who are working with you. Um, but yet you're responsible for the outcome, and you have no ability to control those individuals through typical management type tactics. You really are relying on leading through influence. So pay good attention to that chapter. It's a good chapter to have in your back pocket as you move forward. And then into chapter 11, we're talking about managing organizational change, resistance, and conflict. And one of the things that we know about projects is a lot of different projects will cause change within the organization. Often, projects that we are doing are projects that will work on efficiency, that will be projects that will help to make things better, quicker, faster. Process improvement type projects are very common. And these projects often lead to big changes. Employees and other stakeholders can be worried or concerned about those changes because, let's face it, a lot of times process improvement projects put people out of jobs. So you've got employees that are worried about the potential impact of the project. Might I lose my job as a result? Change can cause resistance and conflict. If you are relying on employees that are worried about losing their jobs to be part of your project team, you can guarantee you're going to have some resistance from those employees. So you're going to need to know how to manage that kind of resistance. And people, task, structure, and technology are four areas that you can use to help manage conflict. Change is a process, and Lewin has a basic model of taking an environment and basically unfreezing what would be considered normal processes, normal environment right now. You unfreeze it, you make a change, and then you refreeze it. Just a couple of things to note about. Change can be emotional. If you're talking to people about losing their jobs, it can be extremely emotional. Change management plans help define how to help the organization transition to a new and desired state. Because remember, what we're doing with change is we're moving from the existing to a new and desired place where the organization wants to be. So we talk about things like adopting a strategy for change, implementing the change, and tracking the progress of that change. You are going to pay specific attention to these three areas because these three areas are what you're going to be doing in your assignment this week for Husky Air. You're going to be adopting a strategy, implementing it, and then tracking that change. You're going to be doing a change management plan that addresses those three areas. You're also going to want to pay special attention to how to deal with resistance and how to manage conflict. Okay, well, that's what I have for you this week. Go ahead and continue on to the next video where I will discuss the changes. I will discuss the assignments for Module 9.